Hi, everyone. I'm Peter Tanella, chair of Mandelbaum Barrett's National Veterinary Law Group. I'm joined on Just Vetting today with Dr. Gwen Sherman. Gwen, good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for being here. So, Gwen is the founder of Mount Kisco Veterinary Clinic, based out of Mount Kisco, New York. Um, Gwen, I was saying to you earlier before we hopped on, I find your story so interesting. You bought your practice almost 20 years ago.
Mhm.
You bought the real estate where the practice was located. You had a partner. You separated from your partner. You ran the practice on your own for a number of years, and then you eventually successfully sold your practice. Um,
Correct.
what what were the keys to your success starting out?
I think first of all, it put me into debt up to my eyeball. And with that, and there was no option for failure. I also knew and had the confidence in myself that I loved what I did and was smart enough that I was going to be successful in operating that business, and mostly because I just knew we were going to do the right thing. And I really felt if I did it correctly and did it well, the rest of it would take care of itself. So a lot came along with that. I think some of the hardest parts probably were employees along the way and navigating my way through being an employer, because you're a doctor, you're not really taught that. So you have to learn how to run the business end of that and manage people.
So it's interesting you say that, right?
Yeah.
How long ago did you sell your practice? How long has it been now?
I sold it in 2019, and left in 2021.
Okay, so you sold in 2019. Now we're
Right.
4 years fast forward to where we are today. That issue that you just raised is still, that is the big white elephant in a room during every conversation that we have with our
Right.
clients, staffing at the associate level, at the technician level, at the practice manager level. And I know you and I have talked over the period of time while you were running your practice, and we had conversations around that. How did you deal with those staffing issues at that time?
I mean, I think early on, anyone who came in, they knew that we were passionate about what we did. If an animal walked in at 5 p.m. and it had a hematocrit of 12% and needed to go into surgery, we were taking it to surgery. I mean, years ago, we didn't have the ER support, so we were it. Like, if I was going to be there till midnight, I was there till midnight. So we did hire people who had that dedication, but I also never made the mistake of feeling that I was the one. I made sure I took care of my team, immediately got 401k, profit sharing, health insurance, anything I could do as soon as I could afford it, and tried to be fair with them, um, to try to manage that. And in the doctor end of it, I always tried to hire smarter. I took younger doctors who had a passion for something. Ultrasound was very important early on. And, I had an associate who really wanted to learn, and he's highly skilled at it now. And I paid for all of it. I was very happy to put them through whatever their interest was to continue to build it, dentistry, whatever. As time went on and I was getting older, it made more sense to train them and make sure that they were proficient. I mean, we all were, but I invested in those people, and including my techs. I put them through dental technology school, advanced training, and just tried to make sure that they had goals that were getting met in their own career as best as I could.
So it's no surprise you were investing in your business in order to make it successful.
Yeah, a lot. I spent a lot of, and I didn't blink an eye to do it. I just
Mhm.
really felt that was important to take care of that team.
How long did you associate before you actually decided to go start acquire your own practice?
I was an associate for 14 years, in 1 year in one practice and then 14 at another practice. And
Now,
it was a realization that was not really going to be a fit to become ownership, and it wasn't ever really going to be balanced. for me. So I needed to look to do something on my own. And I had been approached by several people, and one of them was a very special doctor who did a lot of relief, who also had a tremendous heart and soul in the field. So we decided to jump into it together.
Then what were the primary reasons that, let me think, led you to your sale over that period of time that you owned it? When did you realize, now is a good time for me to start looking? I've owned the practice for close to 20 years. It's ready to time. It's time for the next step.
Well, it happened sooner than I ever expected. I thought I'd be practicing, till I dropped, to be honest with you, because I loved it. And then I think as I became more educated business wise, and I did not micromanage, so I would hire people who had knowledge in fields that I didn't in business, including a manager who is extremely intelligent, knowledgeable. And the business outgrew the building. And I was at a point where I either had to redo my building, which I did get a full set of plans for, or purchase another building and expand there. And as I really ran all the numbers and looked into it, and I got pretty far, I had contractors, I had everything. I truly had an intuitive aha moment that that was a mistake. And I needed to begin to look into potentially selling. And it was a very successful business. So I was, of course, hoping to get an associate to purchase, but in all honesty, it was outside really what they could afford to do, or what I could afford to kind of settle for, or
Right.
carry that kind of a note. So
Mhm.
I did have to go to corporations, and I don't regret that. I don't regret. I am happy to hear it's privatizing again, and I
Mhm.
support that a lot. I hope in time, as my business transitions once again, that it'll be a private owner that'll take it over.
Yeah, I'm hearing that from a lot of people in the industry, and we're experiencing that as well. 2, 3 years ago, there were so many corporate transactions going on, but now I like to use the word the pendulum is shifting back to
Yeah.
the private practitioner, and we're very busy. Associate buy-ins, startups, and practice owners like yourself now looking to sell to their associates again.
Yeah, and I think I knew just intuitively. I had a few moments where I knew if I didn't shift and really consider selling, I knew it was at its peak, or likely to be at its peak, that honestly my health was going to start to be interfered with. I just kind of, it was a definite, strong intuition that it was time to let it go, check my ego at the door, and really explore it. And it was the correct decision.
Did you
But
experience any unique challenges or opportunities during the transition practice, or the transition of selling your practice?
yeah, I mean, once it's sold and we transition to the new owners,
Correct.
yes, yeah, there was quite a bit of chaos. And a lot of transition and loss of people, where they were reflecting on where they wanted things to be. And I definitely did lose some key players. And I still am in touch with a lot of them and wish them well. They went on to do different things.
Looking back on that period, anything you think you could have done differently, that would have changed or impacted, or made a better transition process?
I don't know that I could have done any of that any better. I think it's a really difficult time. You're not trying to do that selfishly. You're really trying to do it. I had prepared as best as possible their upcoming contracts, to try to make sure those who were getting put through advanced degrees at that point that I was funding, the purchasers continue to do. That was all an agreement.
Hmm.
The contracts were all negotiated for them at higher rates and high. I even tried to better them. So, I mean, money doesn't speak for everything, and
Right.
CEOs and everything, but some, certainly a large group did stay, but some of them just found it wasn't the right fit for them, and they had to move on to things that were better. And some of it moved to, practices that were closer to them. Somebody who'd been with me 20 years was commuting from Brooklyn, and understandable that she needed to find something closer at that time.
And it's not surprising. I think you're going to have that type of transition or those types of issues, whether you're selling to a corporation, you're going to sell to an associate or somebody an outside third party. There's always going to be some type of change. What has changed in your life or career since you've sold your practice?
Well, I mean, I thought I'd stay on longer, and I ended up, once again, it was kind of an aha moment in 2021. And I realized I really was no longer content with where it was going, and it was just my own desire. And I also knew if I didn't stop, I probably just was going to have effects of health. And I wasn't unhealthy at that point. There were certain issues, but I was sitting on a horse in Montana, to be honest with you. And I remember walking back to my husband and I said, it's time to go.
Mhm.
And my life is wonderful. Fortunately, we made some correct decisions along the way, and our quality of life is excellent. It's peaceful, it's quieter. And, I spend my time riding horses and working out and traveling a tremendous amount. And I have nothing but gratitude each and every day, but no regrets. Still love veterinary medicine. I wish it success. I wish it to have a wonderful future, and would participate in trying to help that if I could.
That's great. Gwen, I really
Yeah,
appreciate you joining me today. It's great to see you, and I wish
you
you
too.
everything but the best.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Take